Welcome to the deep dive. We've got some really interesting material this week, and, well, our goal is pretty straightforward.
Yeah, we dig in, pull out the key insights you need so you're informed but not, swimming in data.
Think of it as your fast track to understanding the stuff that actually matters.
We'll guide you through, point out what's essential, what you can actually use.
And today, we're diving into a pretty fresh take on personal finance. It's Ramit Sethi's I Will Teach You to Be Rich.
It's a bold title for sure.
It is. But the advice inside is surprisingly practical, very down to earth. It's not about quick fixes,
No, it's really about building wealth sustainably for a life you actually want to live.
which is great for, well, for you listening if you want actionable steps without all the confusing jargon.
Exactly. Ramit's style is very direct, no nonsense. He focuses on what works in the real world, not just theory.
Totally. And the core idea that really hooked me right away was his philosophy. Spend extravagantly on the things you love and cut mercilessly on the things you don't.
It's quite different from typical finance advice, isn't it? Very empowering.
It really is. Okay, so let's start breaking that down. Where do we begin?
Well, I think the first big thing is this idea of conscious spending versus old school frugality.
Right. He really pushes back against that extreme penny pinching, the whole skip your daily coffee thing.
Yeah, he basically says forget that.
Uh-huh.
It's not about depriving yourself of small joys.
Instead, he talks about creating a conscious spending plan. What does that actually look like?
It's less about restriction and more about awareness and intention. Knowing where your money's going, sure, but then directing it.
Directing it towards frugality. What makes you happy?
Precisely. Being really thoughtful about your spending choices. What do you actually value?
He uses this great example, I thought, about a student who really loved eating out. Like spending $500 a month on restaurants.
Yeah, and the usual advice would be cut that immediately.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just slash it. But Ramit's approach was, well, different.
If that's what brought genuine joy, okay, let's keep that. But then you have to get serious about optimizing elsewhere.
So looking at things like the cable bill, maybe high-interest credit card debt.
Negotiating bank fees, automating savings, finding the money in places that don't bring you joy so you can keep spending on what does.
It makes so much sense. So the takeaway isn't just how much you spend overall.
It's how well you spend it, how aligned it is with what you actually care about.
Okay, so conscious spending.
Yeah.
What's next? Automation seems like a huge piece of his system.
Oh, absolutely critical. He argues automation, not rigid budgeting, is the real engine for building wealth. It kind of bypasses the need for constant discipline.
That's interesting. We hear so much about willpower in finance.
Right, but his idea is let's design a system that doesn't rely on willpower day in and day out.
So how does that work? What's the flow he recommends?
Well, first the money comes in, and before you even see it, ideally, some goes straight to your future, your 401k or retirement plan.
Okay, pay yourself first, the classic advice.
Kind of, but automated. Then, next priority is more investing automatically funding a Roth IRA or another investment account.
Got it. Building that growth engine.
Then you cover your fixed costs, rent, mortgage, utilities, the essentials.
Makes sense.
And then, this is key, you have money automatically set aside for guilt-free spending. The fun stuff you consciously decided on.
The lattes, the eating out, whatever your thing is.
Exactly. And only after all that, whatever's left over goes into general savings goals, like a house down payment or a vacation fund.
And he has examples of this working, right?
Yeah.
Like real people.
Yeah, he mentions a reader who set up these systems. Apparently, it only took an afternoon, and 10 years later had a net worth over $200,000.
Wow. Just from setting up the automation?
Pretty much. The system did the heavy lifting. It wasn't about constant manual effort or budgeting agony.
So the lesson is, make wealth building effortless through systems. Remove the friction.
That's the core idea. Get rich by making it easy on yourself.
Okay, conscious spending, automation, now investing.
Yeah.
He's pretty forceful about this one.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He puts it very bluntly. You can't out-save your way to wealth. You have to invest.
No ambiguity there. Saving is important, but it won't make you rich on its own.
For him, investing isn't optional. It's non-negotiable for long-term growth.
And what's great is how simple he makes the investing part seem. Because it can feel really intimidating.
Totally. But he cuts through the noise. No complex strategies, no chasing hot stocks.
So what's the plan?
It's basically use low-cost index funds. Think Vanguard funds, things that track the whole market.
Okay, diversification built in. Simple.
And then contribute consistently every single month. Start as early as possible, 20s, 30s ideally.
Why the emphasis on starting early?
Compounding, it's the magic ingredient. He gives this really powerful example.
Yeah.
If you invest, say, $500 a month starting at age 25, by age 65, you could end up with something like $1.6 million, assuming average market returns.
Okay, that's substantial.
But here's the kicker. If you wait just 10 years, start at 35 with that same $500 a month,
Uh,
you end up with closer to $750,000.
wow. That's almost a $900,000 difference.
Just from waiting 10 years, it's huge.
So it really hammers home that consistency over time is way more important than trying to be some kind of market timing genius.
Exactly. He says the market rewards consistency, not brilliance. Just keep showing up, keep investing automatically.
Let time do the work.
Right.
Okay, that's clear. Now let's pivot to something often seen as, well, the enemy. Credit cards.
Ah, yes. He definitely has an unconventional view here compared to a lot of finance gurus.
He doesn't just say cut them all up, does he?
Not at all. He argues they aren't inherently evil. The misuse of them is the problem. They're just tools.
Tools that can be used effectively or destructively.
Right. So his focus is on teaching you how to use them strategically, like really maximizing those reward points.
Which can be pretty valuable if you do it right, I guess. Free flights and stuff.
Totally. He shares stories of readers getting first-class flights just using points they earned through normal spending. It's about understanding the game.
And he also mentions things like negotiating fees. Like you can actually call them up.
Yeah, negotiating annual fees, even asking for a lower APR. A lot of people don't realize those things are often flexible. But the absolute golden rule,
Pay it off in full every month. No exceptions.
every single month. Avoid interest like the plague. That's non-negotiable.
And he suggests using tools to keep track, right? Like Mint or YNF.
Yes. Using tracking tools helps you stay aware of your spending so you don't accidentally overspend and fall into debt. It's about control.
So the shift is from fear of credit cards to mastering them.
Exactly. Make them work for you, not against you.
Okay, so we've got spending, automation, investing, even credit cards.
Yeah.
But Ramit's philosophy seems broader than just the mechanics. This rich life concept feels central.
It really is. It's probably the most important part, honestly. He says a rich life is lived outside a spreadsheet.
I like that. What does it mean in practice?
It means wealth isn't just about the number in your bank account. It's about consciously designing a life that genuinely fulfills you.
So it's deeply personal.
Very. Your rich life might look totally different from mine. Maybe it's taking that big family trip to Italy every year.
Or maybe it's just being able to afford takeout whenever you want without feeling guilty.
Or having the freedom to quit a job you hate and freelance from Bali, you know? It's about what you value.
So it's less about a dollar amount and more about freedom, choice.
Freedom, choice, joy, alignment with your values. And his point is powerful. If you don't define your rich life,
Someone else will define it for you.
pretty much. Society, advertisers, your boss, they all have ideas about what your life should look like. You need to define it yourself.
That really puts the ownership back on you, thinking about what actually matters.
Absolutely. It makes the financial planning purposeful, not just accumulation for its own sake.
Which brings us to maybe the underlying layer of all this, the psychology of money.
Yes. He emphasizes this heavily. He estimates money management is maybe 80% psychology and only 20% mechanics.
80%, that's huge.
It is. We often know what we should do, save more, invest, pay off debt, but our emotions get in the way.
Like guilt about past mistakes or fear of looking at the numbers.
Exactly. Guilt, fear, shame, avoidance. These are huge barriers. So a big part of his advice is just facing it.
Open the damn statements.
Yeah. Look at the numbers, even if it's uncomfortable at first. Talk about money openly, especially with a partner.
That can be tough, but crucial.
And forgive yourself for past mistakes. Everyone makes them. The key is to take action now. Don't stay stuck.
He tells a story about that, right? A woman with student loans.
Yeah, a woman totally overwhelmed by student debt, just avoiding it for years. The emotional weight was crushing her.
But when she finally faced it, made a plan. Automated payments.
She felt this huge sense of relief and freedom, even though the debt wasn't gone instantly. Taking control was transformative.
It shows how much emotion is tied up in money. It's not just logical.
Not at all. Healing that relationship, understanding your own money psychology is fundamental to actually living that rich life you're designing.
Okay, so wrapping this all up, the big message from I Will Teach You to Be Rich isn't just about getting more money.
No, it's really about freedom. The freedom to build and live a life you find genuinely rich and meaningful.
And the call to action is pretty clear.
Yeah. Stop waiting. Stop blaming circumstances or the past. Start now. Start designing your rich life with what you have.
And don't aim for perfection right away. Just start somewhere.
Exactly. Imperfect action is way better than perfect inaction. He even gives that little rich life starter plan.
Right. Simple first steps. Like what?
Like, automate just one thing this week. A savings transfer, a bill payment, anything.
Okay, manageable.
And define one small part of your ideal Tuesday. What would make an ordinary Tuesday feel richer for you? Get specific.
I like that. Not some far-off dream, but a regular Tuesday.
And finally, invest your first $100. Just get it into a low-cost index fund. Break the inertia.
Small, concrete actions to build momentum.
That's the idea.
So for everyone listening, maybe the final thought to chew on is this. What's one small thing you spend money on, guilt-free, that genuinely brings you joy? And how could you maybe optimize your spending somewhere else? Cut back on something you don't care about to lean into that joy even more?
That really brings it back to conscious spending, doesn't it? Designing it piece by piece.
Exactly. Building your rich life one intentional choice at a time.